days away from opening day, our two Bay Area teams convene right here at AT&T Park as we unveil a new wrinkle into this long-standing rivalry. We welcome those of you watching at home on NBC Sports Bay Area, NBC Sports California, as well as streaming live online. Also, our gathering of media here in attendance at AT&T Park. Brody, we don't often see this. Giants and A's convening together at a press conference, but we do today. Hello, everyone. I'm Ahmed Fareed, your host of Giants Pregame and Postgame Live.
I'm Brody Brazil. As you can tell by my tie selection, I'm the host of A's Pre- and Postgame Live. The Giants and A's each celebrating respective anniversaries this season of their different times here in the Bay Area. And on that note, we have something very special to announce this afternoon, something that we hope will add to this geographic rivalry. So in attendance today from the Oakland side of things are the team president, Dave Kaval, and the field manager, Bob Melvin.
From the Giants side of things, we have the president and CEO, Larry Baer, along with manager Bruce Bochy.
We're also joined by our Senior Vice President and General Manager of NBC Sports Bay Area and California, Tom Stathakis, and from Caltrans, their Director, Lori Berman. Now, we might give this away slightly what we're talking about here, but we want to thank Caltrans deeply because from the beginning of this process, without their generosity, without their help, nothing that we're trying to accomplish here today could have happened without them. That is because, starting here in 2018, NBC Sports will be awarding an annual trophy between the A's and Giants called the Bridge. Now, this is not just any ordinary piece of hardware. This trophy will be constructed from steel that used to be the old eastern span of the Bay Bridge. And before we tell you about the future and what we hope to accomplish starting today, here's a look back at the timeline which brings us to this very moment.
Now, before we unveil what the trophy will look like, Bruce, I'd like to start with you here and ask you about the idea of awarding a trophy for a regular season series like this. Not that common. Only a few teams do it. What do you think about it?
Hey, I'm looking forward to it. I think anytime you have a chance to win some hardware, that's a good thing. So, we'll both be battling for this. And, the fact it is a piece of the old Bay Bridge, that's pretty cool. So whoever came up with that, I tip my cap to them. It's going to be a neat thing, but it's going to be, added interest. I think a little bit more pressure on Bob and myself with this trophy being presented. But, that's a good thing in our game.
More scrutiny. 12th year you've managed in the Bay Bridge Series. Any specific games or specific moments stick out to you from this long history of this rivalry that you've been a part of as a manager?
I really, I think I look at one game. I really can't think of one that stands out, but one that Morris pitched in Oakland. He was kind of struggling at the time. He threw a shutout there, and he had quite a lot of pitches going into the ninth inning, but he would not let me take him out. And so for some reason, I remember that. We ended up trading him, but just threw a beautiful game that night.
Bob Melvin, I'd like to get to you on this as a Bay Area native and a guy that has connections on both sides, a player once for the Giants and now manager of the A's. What type of potential do you see for the fans to have something like this to call their own in a rivalry that is theirs?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, it's similar to the Axe, Cal and Stanford Axe, and that's a big deal. So this is going to be a big deal to our fans. And, the Bay Bridge is so symbolic of where we are and where they are, and reminds me a lot of traffic too coming across the Bay Bridge. So I think it's apropos that it's a piece of the bridge.
Crossing off my next question here about the traffic. But as for your experiences with that bridge, I'm sure you grew up crossing it many times. It has since been torn down. But just the fact that it's made of steel from that old span, does that bring back any potential memories for you besides traffic?
Well, you can't help but think of '89 when I think it was the Eastern Span had its issues. So, what a great time that was for the A's and the Giants organizations in the World Series, and then having to stop because of that. And I think it was symbolic that, the bridge was part of the issues there. So I have been across that bridge many times in my youth, and I think it's great that, we will take a piece of this and someone will get it at the end of the series.
All right, we'll talk to the managers one more time after we unveil the design. But the cool thing about this bridge trophy, Ahmed, is that the structure was such a special symbol to all of us, represents all of us. It's something that links all of us here in the Bay Area, no matter which side of the Bay you're on. And so many people have put in so many hours behind the scenes to make this idea become a reality.
It's been a process that's been going on for probably 7-8 months right now. We asked Caltrans for the steel in August. They approved our resolution in December. Earlier this month, an actual piece of the steel that the trophy will be made out of was actually cut. That was a very big piece of steel.
4,000 pounds.
Lots of meetings, renderings, research was done to get all the parties on board with the final product. Lori Berman, Caltrans director, is here with us today. This whole idea was to make a trophy out of the piece of the bridge. Would not have been even possible without your guys' help in that regard and your guys' blessing. What was the idea from Caltrans to get involved and help make this become a reality?
So at Caltrans, we were really excited when you came to us and presented the idea, and I love the idea that such an iconic structure that is no longer being used, that portion of the bridge is no longer in use, that we're able to repurpose it into something that will still connect San Francisco and Oakland, just as the Bay Bridge does. And I want to thank also the other members of the Toll Bridge Program Oversight Committee, because we all work together to make this happen.
Want to get to my boss, actually, Tom Stathakis, our Senior Vice President and General Manager of NBC Sports. I know you know this. A lot of your employees put in a lot of hard work to make this become a reality. Specifically, I'd like to mention two of them here, Tom Pelak and Liz Ethagiri, who really willed this thing through and a lot of the hurdles that were jumped through. But as it relates to rivalries, what role do rivalries play in our business?
I think it's the lifeblood of any fan base. If you go back and ask anybody, Ali Frazier, people know what that is. Duke, North Carolina, Michigan, Ohio State, Cody Ross and the Philly fans back in Philadelphia.
Very specific.
Yes. It drives passion.
Yeah.
And passion drives ratings, and ratings drive business. And I think it's extraordinarily important to our business to engage in this rivalry. And it's good for the fan base, and it's good for our business.
You said passionate. It's almost like you were reading my script here, because we know Bay Area baseball fans are passionate. Ahmed, they're also very territorial. So we had no choice but to create this trophy in the fairest possible method. So what we did is we collaborated with two separate teams of design and construction, including Scientific Art Studio. They're the ones who, by the way, made the famous glove here in left field at AT&T Park. We also worked with the Crucible. They're an Oakland-based industrial arts school.
Yeah, these artists presented us with many renderings, tens and upon tens of renderings and different variations of the concept. Not easy to turn a 4,000 piece of steel into something hoistable that you can lift up over your head without injuring yourself. Not to mention getting the A's, Giants, NBC Sports all on board at the same time. And speaking of all coming together, that's what we have done here today, Brody.
All right, you've all waited long enough for it, and we're finally going to show it to you here in person as well as on television and live streaming online. It's the unveiling of this trophy, what it will actually look like, and as we stated before, the hope for this is that it becomes a legacy here in the Bay Area from generation to generation, and that weirdly enough, it outlives all of us. So what you're about to see is the latest rendering. The trophy manufacturing process is just getting underway, and this trophy will be ready in advance of the Bay Bridge Series games 3 and 3 in July.
Yeah, so if you see on your TV, and we should be able to see here as well, the bridge is what we'll call it, will be about 18 inches tall, weigh 30 pounds, featuring bronze team logos, a bronze baseball, a base in the form of a Bay Bridge support beam, an upright section derived from a vertical member of the old Bay Bridge Truss. Winners of the bridge will be engraved on a plate attached to the side of the trophy. The trophy is customizable. The winning logo will be placed on top of the trophy. And you may notice, you might not be able to see it there, but there is a troll hidden in there. You familiar with the story of the troll? Our artist paying homage to the legendary Bay Area or Bay Bridge troll in '89.
Yep.
Bridge ironworkers were repairing damage from the Loma Prieta earthquake. They put an 18-inch steel troll figure in there to symbolize protection for that bridge, and so it has made its way into the trophy as well. And it is important to note that this is a rivalry that didn't need a trophy, but we do think it adds to the fun and intrigue of that. And we will go now to Larry Baer, the CEO and president of the Giants. I'll ask you first your thoughts on the trophy, its design, and how it may enhance this rivalry between these two teams.
Well, Ahmed, I mean, the trophy looks great. It's fantastic. And I just appreciate Caltrans. I really appreciate NBC Sports Bay Area, NBC Sports California for being part of this. You know, it's interesting when Bob mentioned the axe. He sort of reminded me that, you know, I would use that bridge to go to Cal. I grew up in San Francisco, went over to Cal. A lot younger than you, Bob, so you know, this was you.
Not much.
I don't think I'm any younger than you, but you know, and it's just interesting because the area we live in, when you think about San Francisco, its boundaries, three sides are water. So we have the Golden Gate Bridge, we have the Bay Bridge. So we depend on these bridges for our fans. And we have tons of fans coming from the East Bay. The firm that helped create the trophy, we love them. They're an East Bay firm that actually designed the glove. So this all really fits well, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and we really appreciate Tom and the people at NBC Sports in making this happen.
A's president Dave Cavell, when this idea kind of leaked this past summer, sorry about that.
That was your fault.
You were very responsive to it, though, from the very start. What got you invested in this personally and getting behind this idea?
Well, I think I saw when I was in soccer the value of the rivalries internationally and what it can do for sports. And I think we need more of that in baseball, and it'll bring new fans into our sport and create the excitement here in the Bay Area, two-team market for baseball. So I'm thrilled. I think it looks great. It looks especially great with the A on the top. And I think it's going to be a great addition to the landscape of Bay Area sports.
Should your team win it for this first go-around in this summer of 2018, what would be your team's treatment of it? Where would you put it? Any idea how you would
I've actually
receive
already commissioned a permanent location at our offices at Jack London Square for it to be displayed next to our 9 World Series trophies, which is obviously one more than the Giants.
Okay. Knew that was coming.
It went there.
Knew that was
just
coming.
went there.
So that's where we're going to put it.
Larry, I'll ask you the same question. I know it's early and you may not have thought of a place yet. Where might it be displayed, or the idea of displaying it to the fans?
Haven't come up with a place, but I'll just say that maybe we'll just put it next to the 3 World Series trophies this guy delivered to us in the last 7 years.
Yeah, it's a lot of trophies.
Is it getting hotter out here all of a sudden?
Right.
A little warm?
Getting a little bit uncomfortable. All right, so we've talked about this rivalry. So the good thing about it is that you got the 3-game series before the All-Star break between these two teams, the 3-game series after the All-Star break. But what we have not talked about is how do you win it? What are the exact rules to winning
important.
it?
Yeah,
That is important, bro.
All right, so there's a lot more complex version than this, but let's go ahead and give you the cliff notes because that's how I got through college. 3 main components. The trophy is awarded to the winner of the regular season series. Number 2, the tiebreaker is decided by the winner of the final game of the season series. So, for example, this year, 6 games between San Francisco and Oakland. If it's 3-2 either way after 5 games, the winner of Game 6 will get the trophy. And then last but not least, the trophy will be awarded on the field or in the clubhouse, depending on the winner and stadium by year. Obviously, we want to hand the winning team the trophy if it's on their home field. If not, we'll do it to the visiting team inside their clubhouse.
Got it. So those are the rules, how it's handed out. We just got a couple more minutes here. Final thoughts, Bruce, I'll give it to you. How will this change how you manage this Bay Bridge series? Because I would assume dramatically.
Well, we're starting to line up our pitching right now. I'll be honest. So this is a big deal for us. So, yeah, I'm going to start resting guys right before that series, too,
Figured.
to give them a break. So
Figured.
we'll be ready.
Bob Melvin, final thoughts and maybe seeing it for the first time.
No, it is cool. Like Dave said, I like the A's on the top, but that's probably when Bumgarner's probably going to come back, is for that series, is my guess.
Mark it down.
So no, we're gonna have to look at some lineups as well, and sometimes he'll play a little gamesmanship, not send the lineup over until a little bit later, and we can play that little game too because it will mean that much more.
Well, we thank you guys so much for being here today and your cooperation with this and getting the trophy off the ground. And hopefully we have the actual thing here in a couple months and not the rendering. So thank you very much for coming up here and spending some time with us and talking and unveiling this trophy, guys.
We're going to take a commercial break. If you're watching us on television or live streaming, we also need to do a photo opportunity here in person. But coming up in our next segment here on television, you'll hear from current A's and Giants players on how they view the trophy. Also, the director of Caltrans will join us to share some more words, as today we have unveiled the bridge here in San Francisco. While you're looking at a group photo we just took here at AT&T Park as the bridge has officially been unveiled. It's the annual trophy for the regular season between the A's and Giants. It's made of steel from the Old Bay Bridge. And before we get to discussing it more, we want to give you some player reaction to this trophy from both sides of the Bay.
The fans have that extra electricity, whether it's here at our ballpark, and I mean, I can't compare it to other games in Oakland, but it's fun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And it's something that I take a lot of pride in, as being from here. And the Bay Bridge is such an iconic piece of where I grew up.
Typically, we look at it as just, another series during the middle of the year. But that'll make it a little bit more fun, I guess, to have that trophy there to win.
I think it's cool. I think it makes for competition and maybe a little extra motivation if people need it. But I think that anything like that is fun, and it just makes you want to compete more.
It's the team across the Bay. Obviously, the fans love it. It's a big deal for the fans, and we want to win too. Look, it's for bragging rights.
Bragging rights across the Bay is important to each respective fan base, and we'll see what we can do. We can see if we can bring it to this side and keep it here for a long time.
If you're just joining us now, there is the bridge. It will be awarded to the team, whichever wins the Bay Bridge regular season series. No exhibition games involved in that. There was some discussion. Will these games count?
Tonight still doesn't matter.
This one does not. It does matter, but it won't count for the bridge trophy. 18 inches tall, going to weigh 30 pounds. You see those bronze logos there. It is customizable, so if San Francisco wins, their logo will go up on top. If the A's win, their logo will go up on top, and you might be able to see it there. There's a troll in there which has some history with the bridge, which I think is really cool.
You know what surprises me, Ahmed, is how close this series has been in all the games. Just you look at the last 10 years here on the screen. The A's have a slight edge, a 30-28 record. But the most interesting thing I think about the Bay Bridge series is how you never know what to expect from any game on a game-to-game basis. There's so many theatrics. There's been so many big moments, even in the 20 years since interleague play began. And on that note, here's a top 5 countdown of our favorite plays between the A's and Giants.
At number 5, we actually begin with last season, Game 1 of the Bay Bridge Series at the Coliseum. San Francisco-born Marcus Semien hitting his first career grand slam against the Giants in a game the A's eventually won 8-5. Afterwards, he said, "Every kid's dream who grew up here was to play in this series."
At number 4, Jarrett Parker had a day that Bruce Bochy called, quote, "the best offensive game I have ever seen personally." Parker hit 3 home runs against the A's in the September game back in 2015. His third and final home run coming in grand fashion with the bases loaded in the 8th inning to break a 10-10 tie.
At number 3, we go back to the magical season of 2012. The A's come from behind with this 3-run walk-off homer, courtesy of Derek Norris. This game-changing swing came on a full count and helped Oakland to avoid a sweep in the 3-game set against San Francisco.
At number 2, we go back to May 20th of 2006, the home run king tying the Babe. Home run number 714 for Barry Bonds. Bonds was booed by the Coliseum faithful before the game, but after the home run, the game was delayed for 90 seconds as the crowd acknowledged Bonds tying Babe Ruth's home run mark with a standing ovation.
At number 1, it was highly anticipated, and while their respective final big league starts did not exactly go as planned, it was such a memorable afternoon in the East Bay to see Barry Zito and Tim Hudson square off in one last outing before their retirements. Their final lines and the score of the game ultimately aren't even worth mentioning, but the alignment of fate on this September day, 2015, most certainly are.
There's some great moments there as you see the Bridge Trophy. And, we got Stomper and Lucille.
Some great moments right in front of us here.
They're like, how are we not in part of any of those moments here? We do have Lori Berman as well from Caltrans, director at Caltrans. Thanks again for being here, Lori. And, getting a chunk of steel from the old Bay Bridge, not as easy a process as maybe we thought it would be. There are a lot of steps to go through. Talk about it from your point of view on the process of being able to grant something like that to even be made into a trophy.
So this isn't a request we get very often,
Sure.
and I'm just really excited. I think it's a great idea, and I'm really excited that we were able to find a way to make it work, especially to use the old bridge to create something new that will continue to connect the two communities is pretty cool, and I'm glad we were able to find a way to work with you and make it happen.
One thing I got a sense from Caltrans in working with you guys to try and get this deal was you're very proud of not what happened in '89 when the bridge fell down, but that was the start of retrofitting basically all the structures in California to be earthquake compliant. We also know about the Cypress structure in Oakland, and obviously tremendous damage happened, but the bridge kind of was a turning point of making California safe for motorists.
That's a really good point. A lot of us who lived in Northern California at that time, myself included, remember exactly where we were when the earthquake hit. And as a former bridge engineer, I can say that was an important point in our looking at our bridges, the seismic safety program. It was a really important milestone, and we've learned a lot since then. We've retrofitted most of the bridges, and we're leaders in helping other states and other countries figure out the best way to retrofit their structures.
And last question for you here, Lori. I think the bridge was constructed in the 30s?
Yes.
Early 30s?
1936.
You have it right there. Okay, good. It's just amazing to me that something from the 30s served its purpose. And now here in 2018, we hope this can live on for many, many years and maybe even be a part of the non-baseball conversation. It'll get the casual fans interested in this rivalry even more.
I think, as was said before, the rivalry between sports teams always makes the game a little more interesting, but also just the idea that, as I said, the bridge kind of lives on in terms of uniting the two cities.
Well, right. Lori Berman, Caltrans director, thanks once again for stopping by here for this big day to announce the Bridge Trophy. We will take another look at the Bridge Trophy if you haven't seen it before. There it is. Will be hoisted. We have been given assurances that will be hoistable. That will not be too heavy to hoist.
Well, I just told Bruce Bochy
maybe not by you, Brody. But
I told him in a joking way, "Hey, this thing is going to weigh 300 pounds." And he said, "Really?"
Yeah.
I mean, that's possible.
315.
As you look at the design of it, there, I think what's important to note is that that's not the full scale of the pattern of the diamonds. We're taking pieces of the old bridge, we're cutting them down to look like the big old pieces, which were much heavier. That's been a huge complication of the design and actually delivery of this. If you took the piece you wanted, it would weigh 1,000 pounds, and
correct.
Who could solely lift that by themselves?
Yeah, only a few people. Only a few people probably could do that. We did talk about the rules. I think that was a hot topic when the idea was coming up about how are you going to award this thing, especially in a tie? And there were some ideas that went back and forth. Aggregate runs is always something that goes up there. We felt strongly about wanting to give it to a team that won that night.
Right.
So this trophy will always be awarded to the team after they have clinched, either on the field or back in the clubhouse. And we felt the winner of the final game, if it's a tie, the winner of the final game sets up a Game 7 type of situation. No, you did not win more games than the other team, but we felt that was the best and fairest way possible.
It's amazing how this all came together when you think of the different parties. The A's and Giants, they're both baseball teams, but they don't necessarily think alike. They don't have the same intentions or ambitions. Then there's us, NBC Sports. We're partners with both, very much in the middle of this. And then there's Caltrans, who was totally on the outside of this until they said, you know what? We would love to help you out and help you facilitate this project and giving you the steel material that you need. So what I think is cool about this is it's a symbol. It was a symbol of the Bay Area. It can continue as that, and it's very rare to see Bob Melvin, Bruce Bochy, Larry Baer, Dave Cavell all on a same stage celebrating something together.
And the way that Larry and Dave went back and forth, it may never happen again. So that might be the final time that happens as well. But yeah, just a great day to be able to unveil this trophy and to give this rivalry a trophy. It's a rivalry that didn't need a trophy. It didn't need a trophy. You know, we've seen all those great moments in the top 5 that we just. It didn't need a trophy, but we think it just enhances and adds to it.
It's also not the World Series trophy. We understand that.
We do understand
but
that.
This is something cool, or even in a good season for one team, doesn't mean that the other team is not going to win it. So I'll leave it with that. You close us out. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Yeah, thanks, everyone, for watching at home as well. And you heard Bruce Bochy. He's already setting his pitching matchup to win the bridge.